Algebra. The formal definition of algebra is mathematics where symbols rather than numbers are operated. What does that mean? Well, you know what 1 plus 1 is. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Simple, right? Well, let's get a letter in this equation. X. Let's say x plus 1 equals 2. What's x? Well, x is called a variable. A variable is like a mystery number that we're trying to find. So that means to find this mystery x to this equation, we can subtract 1 from both sides of this equation to get x alone. Why does subtracting 1 from both sides work? Well, think of it like this. Obviously, 9 is equal to 9. Well, what if we subtract both sides with 5? That means that 4 is equal to 4. And 4 is equal to 4, just like 9 is equal to 9. Thus, the equation remains equal from the previous 9 is equal to 9. So this means changing both sides of an equation in the same way is allowed to do in algebra. So back to the equation we were talking about. X plus 1 equals 2. So we can subtract both sides by 1, which results in x equals 1. So x is equal to 1. We can double check this by plugging in 1 for x, since that's what we got. X plus 1 equals 2, and if we plug in x for 1, 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now that you understand what variables are, what if there were two different variables? Let's say x plus y equals 2. Well, let's try finding one of these variables. What could possibly go wrong? Let's subtract x from both sides. So we get y equals 2 minus x. Okay, so now what could y be? Well, if you think about it, we actually can't find one number for y. If y is 2, then x is 0, because 2 equals 2 minus 0. If y is 1, then x is 1, because 1 equals 2 minus 1. If y is 0, then x is 2, because 0 equals 2 minus 2. And so on, forever with any number. Let's think of this graph-wise. The line pointing up and down represents y values, and the line pointing sideways represents x values. That is the basics of a graph. So if we were to graph the function y equals 2 minus x, it would look something like this. Like mentioned before, if y is 2, x is 0, if y is 1, x is 1, if y is 0, x is 2, and so on forever. Okay, so now that you have learned a crucial part of algebra called variables and graphing, let's make it more challenging. Let's get rid of that equal sign and add an inequality instead. Introducing inequalities. So we know that 2 is greater than 1. Mathematically, we can label that as 2 is greater than 1. Think of the inequality symbol as a hungry alligator. The hungry alligator always wants more. So if 1 was on the left side and 2 was on the right side, it would look like this. 1 is less than 2. Simple, right? What if we added this hungry alligator inside of an equation? If we go back to our function y equals 2 minus x, let's say that y is always less than 2 minus x, then your hungry alligator would always be looking at 2 minus x, because it's greater. Now let's combine everything we just learned from variables to graphing to inequalities. Our goal is to graph the function 4x plus y is less than 20. So first, let's let y stand alone. We can subtract both sides by 4x to achieve this. This gets us y is less than 20 minus 4x. Now to see how this equation would be on a graph, since there are infinite solutions, we can just plug in any x value to get a y value and draw out the graph. So using this, we can see that the graph will look like this. So now we have this graph. What about the hungry alligator, aka the inequality? Well, we can see that the hungry alligator is looking towards the 20 minus 4x. That means that whenever you plug in an x value, the 20 minus 4x is always greater than y. To label this on our graph, we can just shade in the part of the graph where 20 minus 4x is greater than y. How do we know which part to shade in? We can think of it like this. Since y is by itself, that means that 20 minus 4x is the function, aka the line. That means that since y is less than the function 20 minus 4x, aka the line, if you look at it logically on the graph, we shade in the bottom part under the function 20 minus x because those are the parts where y is less or under the function 20 minus 4x, aka the line. And so that is the beginner's concept of algebra, understandable for everyone. Thanks for watching.